Meanwhile in the pod cave.
And welcome back to another edition of the Podmen. I'm Brad.
I'm Brian.
I'm Podman Ron.
I'm Alex.
All right, and because you demanded it, dear listener, we have all four of the Podmen back.
Look at that.
Welcome back, Alex. We've missed you for about, I don't know, maybe it's been like 5 episodes, but it feels like about 15.
Yeah.
Well, at our rate, that's like 6 months.
That's true.
That is like
an episode a month.
Yeah, we're at episode 196. That road to 200 is closing in on us, guys. I feel pretty good. We got 6 months to record 4 more episodes.
We can do it.
And then we can shut it down. Is it going to be the series finale?
200 is definitely the series finale. That's when, Brian, you do your wrestling podcast. PMR, you get into your PM rants.
I think we just do a reboot after that. You know?
Yeah, with new cast members?
No. Same. We're pulling
recast PMR.
We're pulling a DCU. It's like we recast maybe one person, but we keep the rest, and that's just what we do.
I think, Alex, we all know which one person you're referring to.
Yeah, he's asking to be recast. Well, we'll see. We actually have. We were saying in the green room, we actually have a movie that all 4 of us have seen. And all 4 of us are here, so this is pretty fantastic. But before we get into the movie reviews, I think we do have a little bit of news. All right, hot off the presses today. Brian, I'm not sure if was this originally a leaked trailer and then Sony put it out, or was this just something they're like, here you go, people, because you demanded it?
No, I think it was scheduled because the poster released as well.
Okay.
So,
well, the trailer was supposed to release on Wednesday. So yeah, the trailer was leaked today, and Sony just said, "Fuck
let it go." All right, well, because they know how many people are out there craving for a little Craven the Hunter. Brian, what's this movie about? Does anybody have any idea?
Well, I mean, in true Sony form, they've completely bastardized the character again. So you've got.
You mean Craven don't have radioactive lion's blood?
Yeah, no, he does.
He does now.
In the comic, in the comic, he doesn't have that, surprisingly.
Wow.
What?
Yeah. So basically, they've taken Animal Man and stapled his origin essentially onto Craven the Hunter.
Oh, okay.
And Craven the Hunter is not a hunter at all. Like, it's his dad would hunt, big game. And so now the son uses those animals to fight on his behalf.
Yeah,
much like Animal Man.
The son is also not Russian either. The dad's Russian, but the son has not picked up on the Russian accent.
No, not at all.
Well, who is the dad? Zeus?
I guess he's more Vixen than he is Animal Man.
Does he? He kind of. I watched the trailer, but I didn't listen to it. That's how much I cared.
No.
He's Land Aquaman. That's what he is.
Oh, okay. He can talk to.
He's Land Aquaman.
Yes.
Is he Russell Crowe? Is it Russell Crowe's dad?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Russell Crowe got paid. He got paid.
He pulled a Michael Caine. He's getting a beach home somewhere or another. Another beach home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what did y'all think about this trailer? Did y'all think it was as ridiculous as I thought?
Yeah, so essentially I think we're in the world of, they've seen how popular The Boys is, so they're like, how do we market this? Let's go R, and let's go kind of over the top with some of the killing. And so it's a little bit John Wick-ish maybe, a little bit The Boys maybe.
A little bit Morbius, just for good measure.
Just for good measure, yeah. So, and nobody asked for any of it.
No.
So,
no.
And he's killing people with bear traps. He bit one guy's nose off and spits it out the window.
Wow.
It's.
They could have saved this character for a Spider-Man movie because they actually would have if they would have done the original character from the comic books and used him in a Spider-Man movie, it probably would be pretty good. Even the way he hunted down Spider-Man in the comic book, he was hired by J. Jonah Jameson. I mean, that would have been better than this.
Well, yeah, the Kraven's Last Hunt storyline, which is one of the most famous like Spider-Man storylines out there, we're never getting that, right? Because he's not this character's not going to go hunt down Spider-Man and try to kill him. Like it's a completely different motivation for a character.
Well, I completely agree, but I will say I'm kind of excited for this movie.
Oh,
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm kind of excited.
All right.
I've recently dived into the world of B action movies, like
Air Force
and there's
One.
something. Yeah,
Air Force One is not a B action movie.
We'll get into it. But I've watched not just that, but it's like I've dived into that little realm a little bit, and I'm like, this looks kind of stupid and fun. Like I went and saw Morbius and I had a good time. I was drunk, but I had a good time. So at least I know the formula of how to produce a good time when watching these movies. And the Rhino's going to be in it.
The Rhino's going to be in it.
Kraven versus Rhino might not be the matchup I want, but I'll take it. It sounds pretty fun.
Why not? Okay.
Was Gibbon not available?
Hey, listen. You know, I'll take what I can get. Two
I like
Spider-Man
Alex's
villains.
attitude. Why just go in and have fun? Doesn't need to be big.
At the end of the day, I got Across the Spider-Verse 3 weeks ago, and I'm getting Spider-Man 2 the game later this year. A Kraven movie is like the cherry on top. It might be like
the Kraven movie.
It might be like
Kraven.
It might be
It's
like
kind of like the pistachio on top.
it's like a cherry with the. It's like
the what?
It's like a
Pistachio.
Something.
look.
It's pistachio.
Hey, what are you doing with the hunter?
It's like a cherry with the pit still in it on top of your ice cream.
Okay,
I feel like
what it is.
Gilmore's never heard that word before. He's seen it. He's never heard anyone use it in a sentence. And so in his mind, pistachio. In his mind, it's an Italian nut.
Makes sense.
And that's how you pronounce it. Pistachio.
Well, I think Alex has a great attitude. I like it.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
It looks fun. He has the vest. He has crossbows and shit. What do you want? He threw like
Good movie. He's a Kraven movie.
He threw a pipe to some guy.
I didn't
That's
want
pretty
this
cool.
movie. I don't think anybody wanted this movie.
I kind of wanted this movie. I'm not going to lie to you.
Movie.
Who doesn't? Come on. Stop bitching. Come on.
Hey, what's the matter, you?
What's the matter?
We know how to become Italian. I know it.
What is going on?
It's a fine movie. It's a fine cinema.
You're trying. Maybe you like it.
Oh, that Kraven, he always leaves me a crying. Anyway. He's so full of life. All right, so Kraven the Hunter, Alex, and Pistachio will be first in line to go see them.
With my bag of pistachios in the cinema. Yeah, I'll be there.
God.
All right, what else we got in the news, Brian? Nothing.
Let's see. Big shakeup at Marvel. Lots of movies getting moved around.
Oh boy.
So pretty much everything got pushed back on the Marvel slate at least 6 months to a year.
I'm not going to live to see all these. You know,
and they aren't worth seeing. We've already established that, so you're fine.
And of them, they've shifted anything that's Kang related as far back as possible. Oh, he's got some pistachio.
Hey, you got us pistachio.
You got me in the mood.
So they pushed back Kang, the next Kang film.
The King.
pushed it back until Jonathan Majors could get out of prison.
yeah. But then they pushed Deadpool forward. Like, so Deadpool is now the May movie next year when it was supposed to be Brave New World. or New World Order, whatever the Captain America movie was going to be.
When is the Captain America movie going to be out?
So later in the year, I think it's like the September, October, November release.
So much for the July 4th release or whatever it was going to be.
Right. And so they're going to only 2 films next year. And then the schedule's sliding a lot. Most of the stuff that was supposed to come out this year is getting pushed into 2025, or in the next 12 months is going into 2025. So lots of resets, stuff going on at Marvel. Let's see, which is probably a sign they're not too pleased with.
And also pay your writers.
Well, it's a writer's strike too. So.
Yeah, they can't even do anything. They're useless.
What's interesting is they also said that Deadpool, and Alex, maybe you can explain this, but even though Ryan Reynolds is in it, he can't ad-lib while they're filming. He has to go by the script.
Son of a bitch.
So I guess that's something in their contract, like they have to have a writer on set if he's going to ad-lib.
No, that's just WGA. So what happens is that the final version of whatever the Deadpool 3 script was is the only version they can use. It's not that necessarily a writer has to be on set for him to ad-lib, but that no new material can be produced because that would be breaking the current strike. So nothing can be produced in fairness and in consideration of the strike.
Which I feel like...
I was going to say the great news about Deadpool is that you got his whole face covered. They can cover that up in ADR. Ryan Reynolds can be popping off jokes left and right after the writer strike's over. Go ahead.
He can ad-lib and post.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. And that's probably what will happen. But yeah, I feel like of all the movies that we get, this probably has a lot of off the cuff stuff more than most films. So it'll be interesting to see. When they settle it, but yeah, with his mouth being covered, yeah, that's a good point, Brett. Let's see what else we got. We have. Oh, did you guys see the thing about the Stan Lee documentary?
Yeah, I saw that about old Neil Kirby being all.
Everybody's mad about it.
Yeah, everybody's mad about the Stan Lee, and it's really the whole Bob Kane, Bill Finger thing all over again. So essentially, apparently in the Stan Lee, and it's footage from all the years. It's all these interviews he's done, and all he ever does is say, "When I created this, and when I created this, when I did this, when I did that,"
just running his mouth.
And so, somebody said they counted the times he said "I," when he was addressing different characters and stuff. But he gave apparently Kirby was referenced as not as a co-creator but as a contributor,
a lapdog,
right?
A gopher,
a gopher. So Kirby, people picked up on it, and then Neil Kirby, who is Jack Kirby's Neil Kirby's the son, and then his daughter, I guess, made a statement on behalf of her dad and her granddad, basically just saying, they've completely mitigated Jack Kirby's involvement in all these characters, and to the point of, I didn't realize this about the Fantastic Four, but Jack Kirby created the Fantastic Four based off the Challengers of the Unknown. Challengers of the Unknown came first. He went over to Marvel. He created the Fantastic Four, but he named I think Sue was his mother.
Reed, that's right.
Reed was his uncle or something, and then Ben was like his cousin. Mm-hmm. And so named him.
Ben was his father, and Susan was his sister.
Yeah,
there you go. But then even Reed was named after somebody, like his cousin or something. But yeah, so essentially, it's the whole Bill Finger thing, right? And then it's you wonder how. I need to see, in the books, do they put created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby,
right?
Or does it just say Stan Lee? Because for years Batman was all just Bob Kane, and now it says created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger. So, I'm curious.
And his lackey Bill Finger. Well, Again, poor Stan Lee. He can't even die in peace. I mean, poor guy.
Here's the thing, and I've said this before, and I get the whole creator thing. You know, I think he quoted something like, you know, the church hired Michelangelo to do the Statue of David, but the church doesn't take credit for the Michelangelo statue. You know, I mean, for the Statue of David. You know, it's still Michelangelo that did the creation.
Right. So yeah, just because Stan Lee commissioned Kirby to do it doesn't mean that Stan Lee created it. Yeah. I mean, it all also goes back to the whole work for hire stuff, you know, with all, you know, that's always such a point of contention in the comic book, you know, world. But
it's also like, there's the thing of like, who gets the Oscar for Best Picture? Not the director, but the producer, the person behind the scenes orchestrating its success and engineering its success. So it's one of those, it's a complicated ordeal when it really doesn't need to be, but yeah.
Just let Stan Lee live in his glory, die in his glory.
Well, like I said before, though, if it wasn't for Stan Lee out there promoting this stuff, would any of this stuff been as popular as it was? You know, I mean,
yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a thought.
That's a thought.
What came first, the chicken or the egg?
But then the other thing is, you know, it was compiled from footage from, you know, the 60s and 70s and 80s. And, you know, back then, like, you know, Stan Lee he wasn't even, you know, editor-in-chief of Marvel anymore. Like, you know, he was P.T. Barnum at that point, you know? So it's, I understand it's not like they pulled clips from, you know, 2017 where he's talking about stuff. So, I mean, yeah, back then it was viewed in a totally different lens than it is today. And honestly, Stan Lee was, you know, the Walt Disney of the comic book industry.
Snorted a line of Coke and go on the Tonight Show.
That's right.
I say he created Spider-Man. Meanwhile, Steve Ditko's just sitting at home.
Did Stan Lee do a lot of Coke?
I would imagine in the 70s. I mean, you've seen the way he dressed, right? And the ladies he attracted, of course he had to.
He did that magazine photo shoot. Remember that one?
Yeah, he did a nude photo shoot. Yeah.
He was copying who was he copying?
Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know our nude male layouts here on the podcast.
I can just imagine. I can imagine like 10-year-old PMR just opening up a magazine and just being like, "Oh my God, Stanley's cock."
Stanley's cock.
All right. Stuff Spider-Man or something in front of it.
I know. I checked.
Okay. What else we got, Brian? Because we got movie reviews, and plus Alex has got some retro reviews for us, I think.
I do. Just one other, a half story, I guess. But we've got hot on the heels of Flash movie coming out this weekend. Brave and the Bold's announced its director is also going to be Andy
Muschietti.
So, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and now Flash, and he'll be doing Batman Brave and the Bold, which is probably a pretty solid choice. So,
and did they announce James Mangold as well? Is that official?
James Mangold as
director for Swamp Thing?
I think he's still in talks.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's right. I forgot. Did we even talk about that on the last podcast, I think?
Nah, probably not.
So, but yeah.
All right. Well, very good. All right. And I thought we had a death, but
we do.
Do we have anybody of importance?
We'd have to explain it to PMR.
Probably to me
Larry
too.
Storch.
Who?
What?
It's no Larry Storch.
Oh, we got John Romita Sr.
There you go. That's what I was thinking of. Who are you?
I was thinking of Treat Williams.
Oh, Treat Williams, yes.
Who the fuck is Treat Williams? I saw that, and I was like, who is Treat Williams?
Some actor.
He's in a ton of stuff.
Really? I never heard of him.
Well, there you go, Brian. He's no John Romita Jr. or Sr. rather.
No.
All right.
All right. Start with just Treat Williams. Ryan, did you know Treat
We
Williams?
don't have to.
R.I.P. Treat Williams. R.I.p. Treat Williams.
All right, PMR, why don't you walk us through John Romita Sr.'s career?
Well, he took over Amazing Spider-Man after Steve Ditko did in the 60s. And there are some people that will say he's the true
Definitive.
Spider-Man artist. Yeah, I mean, he created so much with Spider-Man and
I would say that.
Harry Osborn. I think he created the Harry Osborn and Gwen Stacy. And, I mean, his artwork in those 60s issues are just incredible. I mean, he was by far, like Brian said, the definitive Spider-Man artist in the 60s and probably the early 70s. And before he left and did some other stuff, but he's probably my second favorite Spider-Man artist.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who's your first?
Someone that no one else would say.
Wow.
Y'all know who it is, Brian? You know who it is?
I assumed you would say Bagley, but I guess not.
No. It's an artist in the 70s named Ross Andrews. A-N-D-R-U.
Wow. We'll have to look him up.
Look, he did all the Spider-Man work in the mid-70s and the late 70s. Yeah, he's fantastic. I mean, when I think of Spider-Man books, that's the artist I think of. So, John Romita Sr. is fantastic. I mean, just
who gave
great.
Spider-Man the Doom Buggy in the 70s?
That would be Ross Andrews.
That's what I thought. Hammerhead.
Yep.
These great villains.
Hammerhead, all that stuff. Yep.
All right. Well, hey, John Romita Sr. is still around, and he's drawing Spider-Man nowadays, I think, still, right? Isn't he?
Junior.
Junior.
Yeah, and that fucking god-awful book.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Ouch.
I hate that book. It's so bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Wow. Everybody's turning on these artists.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
All right. Well, screw them. All right. Let's go over to our main review, I guess, unless, Brian, you got anything else?
What about Treat Williams?
Yeah, Brian, you want to give a quick Treat Williams retrospective?
Yeah, he was a character. He was in tons of stuff. Like he would be in
stuff.
Law and Order, stuff like that. You know, like cameo kind of stuff. But his big claim to fame was he was in Everwood. So the CW show that ran for where Andy Dwyer got his start. Chris.
Oh, really? Chris Pratt?
Pratt got his start in Everwood.
Oh, how about that?
So, yeah.
Well, there you go. There's something. Now you can look them up, Peter.
Look at that.
We'll do that. We'll do that.
All
wow.
Right. Well, let's go to the movies now.
Okay.
All right. All four of the Podmen have seen The Flash, Andy Muschietti's The Flash, the new director of Brave and the Bold, supposedly. We'll see if he retains his job after we see how The Flash does in the long term here.
That $55.1 million opening weekend.
So when they're counting the .1, there's a problem.
There's a problem. Oh, so this opened up the lowest, or like lower than Shazam 2 and everything like that, right?
Yeah.
Wow. All right, so not
lower
a lot.
Than Black Adam.
Doesn't seem to be a lot of love for this picture, although it feels like it may be a little bit divided out there. That it feels like fans may like it more than the critics. I'm not sure.
Well, I think you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You got the Snyderverse, incels that are so pissed off that the Snyderverse is ending, that they're boycotting the film, right?
Right.
But in actuality, they made this film with a lot of cameos to kind of, give them a send off for that universe, right? So you got the Snyderverse people that are all pissed, don't want to see it. You got the people that didn't like Snyderverse that are like, well, shit, I don't like Ezra Miller, and so I'm ready to move on. And then you've got I think people that are just so sick of Ezra Miller and his bullshit,
his shenanigans,
right? His shenanigans, to where it's sad because it's a pretty damn good movie, but you have all of this negative, they say, no news, no press is bad press. No, there's bad press, and this has got it. So, it is far better than its box office, suggests. And I think it was one of those things where it was doomed.
Just couldn't win
from his first arrest.
From his first kidnapping. The moment he clocked that woman at her house and stole the roast beef sandwich, it was all down.
From when he choked the lady at Sam's Club.
We choked that woman out at the parking lot. They got it on film. I mean, there's so much.
Or he threatened that kid in the Target.
The first person he hit with a chair in a ballroom fight. The second person he hit with a chair in a ballroom fight. The thing is, they're the true victims because they've got all these outstanding, civil cases against him. Hey, they need that money to pay their bills, to pay their medical bills.
I feel like Warner Brothers dressed him up, got him all sobered up, got him all set to walk this red carpet to get this film out, and now we will not see him again. I mean, this will be it.
It's done. He's over.
He's done. I mean, I don't.
Well, right, and even in the film, even stuff that happens in the film kind of leads to that, right? Yeah. And probably rightfully so. I see their argument that this is a good movie. This is a good movie. This is a good movie. Just let people see it. Just let people see it. It's good. And it is good.
It is
right.
Good.
But there's too much baggage. There's too much baggage with Ezra Miller. And the person that's going to be blamed with this is Ezra Miller. Andy, I can't say his last name.
Pistachio.
Andy Pistachio. Pistachio. He, how do you say it in Italian? He's already been put on probably the crown jewel of this phase, Batman Brave and the Bold. He gets to introduce the whole Batman family. So the one that Ezra Miller's the one that's going to get blamed and dinged for it, and his other franchise is dead too. Fantastic Beasts is dead too. So it's like what's he going to be?
He's going to get into trouble if he can't keep busy. Here's the thing. Idle hands are the devil's playground.
Mel Gibson and Shia LaBeouf need to team up and do a buddy comedy.
Make a franchise.
We'll get a great documentary on Ezra Miller one day.
There you go.
It's going to be awesome.
The problem is he was the weak part of this movie. I mean, he truly he could not carry this movie if it wasn't for Batman, Michael Keaton Batman. I don't know. This movie to me would have sucked.
Well, before we get it, so this movie is basically Flashpoint from the comic books and the animated movie, and they took some liberties moving away from the original source material, but they kind of kept true to the fact that the Flash discovers he can go back in time, and he wants to go save his mother and father, who's in jail for his mother's murder. And when he does that, everything screws up. And that's kind of what happens in the comic. He either creates or goes into a different universe and things like that. So that within itself, that storyline to the layman, it's a challenge to bring that to the big screen, I would think, right? Maybe where people are used to it because of the Spider-Verse or whatever, or Doctor Strange. But, when you get into multiverses, it was pretty jam-packed with kind of information. And I thought it did a pretty good job blending kind of the original source material and then tying together the end of the Snyderverse and bringing in Michael Keaton Batman as well as other stuff at the end and all that stuff. I thought it was done pretty cleverly.
Yeah. The divergence in what happened to the comics in this is the Batman stuff is way darker. It's not Bruce Wayne. It's Thomas Wayne, and Bruce was killed on Crime Alley. And that's probably the best Batman story in the last 15 years is Flashpoint Batman. Because what happens with Martha and Thomas Wayne, since Bruce is the one that died, right? So I would highly recommend you read that. The other thing that kind of spun out of the Flashpoint comic book was they did, and it would be pretty kick-ass if the Snyderverse wasn't, dead, but they did the war between Atlantis and Paradise Island, right? The Amazons versus the Atlanteans.
Right.
And so it was kind of political. It was Aquaman versus Wonder Woman. It kind of got deep into their lore and their characters, and that would have been a pretty cool, film to move into. But again, none of that. I think when Flashpoint was originally pitched, it was going to be like everything kind of blows out of this, and then once they realized Snyderverse is done, they started scaling back on it to where it was just the one film. So
it opens up, and we see the Snyderverse. We get a little bit of maybe Ben Affleck as Batman. We're not really sure if it is him or not. But it's him as Bruce Wayne. And we get a little bit of, what's-her-face, Wonder Woman, and kind of a neat little opening action scene. CGI maybe a little wonky.
I'm sorry. I honestly thought the opening scene was just terrible. I did not like. I thought the movie was heading down a bad path the first 20 minutes of it. I didn't like wasn't really crazy about the Snyderverse people. They just seemed like they were just there for a paycheck. Just kind of like Wonder Woman was with the last Shazam movie.
I am kind of sick of her bugging for the camera.
Oh, she loves to bug for the camera, doesn't she?
I'm kind of getting sick of that fucking song.
Me too. I mean, oh my god! And the sets looked really cheesy. I mean, there was that scene where Ben Affleck is playing Bruce Wayne. He's at his car. He's the only car on the city street, and he gets in his car and he pulls away, and he's driving so slow down the road. It's like you can tell it's a set. There's no other cars. Right. He's slowly pulling away. He's in this Maserati or something, but he's slowly going.
That's what broke the immersion for PMR, not the man running at the speed of light. The empty street.
Someone driving slowly.
It looked like a CW show. It looked like a cheesy. I mean, we're not looking at like it was a major motion picture. It looked like something off the CW.
Right. No, I agree with that.
And let's talk about the hospital scene where he rescues the baby.
Right.
CGI babies.
So it's not even that part. So the guy's fixing a sandwich for him.
Oh.
This is not how time works, okay? He's able to run across. I know he's fast, and he saves all these babies. And before he even does that, he's already saving other people that, the ground's falling and everything. Right.
And then he
talks to Alfred. He talks to Alfred for a few minutes.
Yeah, talks to Batman for a few minutes.
Talks to Batman. Then the building collapses, so he saves all them, puts them all nice and neat, and then he talks to the lady who's the nurse, and then he runs back, and the guy's
he also talks to Batman and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But then he runs back, and the guy's still making a sandwich. I get he's fast.
But maybe that if in regular time, maybe that would took a half hour, 40 minutes, 45 minutes.
Yeah,
maybe?
right.
Okay.
So the guy wouldn't be still making the sandwich. I mean, it does not work that way. I mean, maybe if they would have said, okay, he went back in time a little bit.
I think that's what happened. You're just supposed to assume
that. Maybe. I mean, it was just dumb. It made no fucking sense.
He could have gone back in time and saved the babies from ever falling, but instead he went back in time to just grab his sandwich just right when it's hot off the panini.
It was so stupid. I'm like, who likes this shit? So already at that point, I'm like, okay, this movie's going to bite. But I was surprised that once it really got started, I got, started being really good. So
okay. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, I enjoyed. I liked Ezra Miller playing the two parts better than I thought I would.
Right. I agree with that.
I forget. If it wasn't for
That was
everything else, all the other nonsense, all the baggage, all that bullshit. If they said, all right, we are doing another Flash movie with Ezra Miller, I'd be like, okay. I'm like, it's not our first choice, but okay. At this point, like, he did his best to right the ship, and where he was hated before, he comes off as likable.
Right.
You know, like, so he toned all the stuff people hated in the Snyderverse, all the, like, you know, ADD stuff that he did in the Snyderverse movies, they really toned down. And they kind of addressed it with, you know, his younger self. Right. Right? Like, basically, like, he's grown out of it. You know, he even says, like, I can understand why people get so, you know, annoyed by me because, you know, if this is how I act like a total doofus all the time. So there's that. The Michael Keaton stuff, like, I kind of, you know, fanboyed about it. But, you know, somebody like Alex or, you know, my kids, it's like they have watched the first Batman movie, and the first Batman movie today does not hold up. It doesn't age well, right? So I'm wondering, you know, when they're showing all this stuff in the marketing, you know, the Bat plane and the 90s Batmobile or 1989 Batmobile, like, is that, you know, who are they marketing that to? You know, like, kids or, you know, anybody under 30, that's not their Batman anyway, right? So it's like
they're marketing to 50-year-old men.
Man-child.
Right. They're marketing to 50-year-old men, which is probably a misstep to begin with. That being said, the Michael Keaton stuff was great, right? Even the stuff with Zod, I thought it's kind of genius bringing Zod back in that vein, and the whole thing with, you know, because Superman wasn't there, and they didn't say this, but, and I'll get to that. I'll hold off on that. But the fact that, you know, without Superman, they've got to team up and take out Zod, so they got to use Zod again without having to build another villain, right? And so it was nice that you didn't have to go through this whole villain origin as well through the whole thing. You got to kind of piecemeal this, you know, piecemeal the bad guys at the end. So
yeah, I was thinking, and maybe that's what I was missing, Brian, is what you said, that you didn't have a villain origin in this. 'Cause I was like, there was, you know, yes, Zod was the villain, but it was almost like there was no real main villain in here. You know, it was kind of not that he was an afterthought or whatever, but it was just sort of like the Flash never fought Zod. Supergirl fought Zod, but the Flash never, I don't think, barely laid a hand on him. So, you know, it was one of these, it was kind of weird that he, you know, the main villain was maybe a little bit Zod, a little bit of, you know, whoever that was, the Shadow Purple Flash or whatever, the
Dark Flash or whatever,
Flash or whatever. But there was kind of no main villain for the Flash, other than the Flash was like, oh, I screwed stuff up, I got to fix it. That was kind of, the villain was his mistake more than anything else, sort of.
Oh, well, and I think what I was going to say a second ago, I wish they had done a little more foreshadowing, right? Because instead of Dark Flash pushing him out of the Chrono Bowl, I don't know why everybody calls it the Chrono Bowl now, but it's a stupid ass name, but everybody refers to it as the Chrono Bowl, right? Instead of Dark Flash pushing Barry out of the Chrono Bowl, you know, 8 years early or 6 years early, however many years early it was, it would have been nice if he just couldn't get any further in that timeline, and that's where he got spit out. And then you realize he couldn't go any further because that whole timeline ended.
Gotcha.
So it was like the final exit. Yeah. He can't go back to the current day because that universe doesn't exist. It all gets destroyed.
Oh, goodness.
So, yeah, I thought that would have been kind of, I don't know, me armchair quarterbacking it. I would have, I felt like that would have been a better kind of explanation, or at least foreshadowing as to, oh, well, that's why he couldn't go forward any further, you know? So Flash decides to go back in time and meets his younger self, says, oh, we got to make sure that the younger self gets hit by lightning and the chemicals to create the older self in the first place. And in doing so, the younger self gets powers, the older guy loses powers, and, you know, insanity ensues after that, right? Yeah, a little Freaky Friday.
A little Freaky Friday-ish type stuff. And then they go try to find Batman. to help fix everything. One of the things that was kind of funny was I thought Back to the Future jokes, and it about Eric Stoltz as being the lead in that Back to the Future. I thought that was kind of a little bit of a deep cut.
That's a deep cut, right? And it's like how many viewers would have picked up on Eric Stoltz?
Right. Why is that funny?
In that right? I mean, yeah. But again, I picked up on it, so
yep.
What am I to say?
Let me ask you a question.
Axe.
So, how does this is where it gets a little wonky? The whole time travel thing gets a little wonky, more so than usual. So, how does you go back in time and you save your mom, but you make Bruce Wayne get born earlier? I mean, because Bruce Wayne now, instead of being, he's 20 years older than he should be. And so how does that change?
Just spaghetti.
That?
Just spaghetti.
I know, that's what I love. It's just spaghetti. I'm like, I don't think that's how that works.
It's really more the Marvel-like time travel thing than it is the DC time travel, right? So you can't. It was that fixed point in
where the spaghetti, where the spaghetti
crisscrosses. So when Barry's there in Barry's universe, his mom dies. There's no fixing that. It is a fixed point. So the minute he fixes it, or the minute he goes back and changes it, the reason he's able to change it, the reason once he does change it, whichever, it's a different universe. So in his universe, that was a fixed point. In another universe, there was a way to save his mother, right? She wasn't destined to die in that other universe. So he didn't go back in time. He went back in time and hopped universes.
But how does that make Bruce Wayne get born earlier, where he's an old man?
He says basically it's an alternate universe, and in that universe, Bruce Wayne he jumped into another universe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how he got home. I don't know how he got back from that.
He didn't. That's the whole point of the ending.
Right.
He didn't.
He went to another universe.
Right. Because again, he didn't learn anything from the first time. So the next time he decides to save his dad and get his dad out of prison. Well, he again, then he doesn't understand why he didn't go back to his universe.
Right.
So he altered it again. So, let's talk about Supergirl real quick. I enjoyed the Supergirl stuff.
Yeah,
I did too. I like that actress. I like the way she looked. The costume looked good. I thought she did a really good job, and I preferred her over Superman. I thought that was a better choice.
That was interesting. Yeah. Alex, any comment on Supergirl?
Yeah, she was there.
All right, there you go.
Well,
Alex was very critical of this movie.
Was he?
I was not. I gave it a 7 out of 10 on or 3.5 on Letterboxd. It's not bad. I just think, here's my thing. I think we've been so mistreated by DC that this little light of hope, this shiny, it's like
a little flash of light.
It's like in The Last Crusade. We walked into the little temple with all those cups and we picked the shiniest one we could see and said, yes, this is the saving grace. When it's just okay. I think in a week I won't remember it. I'll remember aspects.
Right.
But it's like my thing with Sasha Calle's Supergirl. Do I think she did a good job with what she was given? Absolutely. Did I give one shit when she got stabbed? No, not even a little bit. Didn't care. I didn't care when young Barry was upset about it. It's just it's up the movie's fault. Like I said, this is a competent made movie. I think Brian's right. Andy Muschietti is going to do a great job with Brave and the Bold. I think that's going to be super competently made as long as it doesn't do the purposeful bad CGI like this movie does. I think there's moments. It's just
fair enough.
Keaton's Batman felt like a gimmick.
It was a gimmick.
It totally was a gimmick. But I was worried that
I liked them.
Yeah, I was worried that he was going to ruin the movie by hamming it up too much. But I thought he did a pretty good job. He didn't distract from the movie to me.
He has my favorite scene in the movie when he's talking about Barry about like, you saved your parents and you actually did it. Like, that's my favorite scene in the movie by far. It's so good, but it's just like, there's just part of like, it's just, it doesn't hit the nail exactly. And I think maybe I don't know. It either needed to be, I teetered on Multiverse of Madness for me and competency. And anytime that movie comes into my line of sight where I can see something reflecting, I'm like, no, bad, go away. Like, there's stupid cameos at the end, but we'll get into it.
Was much better than, I don't know, the last 5 Marvel movies. I don't know. I mean, I've lost track of how many bad Marvel
It's better than aside from Guardians, and you don't really count Spider-Man because it's Sony, but the actual Disney Marvel movies, Phase 4 and Phase 5, this is probably better than Phase 4 and 5.
Shang-Chi's better, but that's my opinion.
God, I hate that movie. But
that's my opinion.
Again, with like there was these deep cut things that kept happening in the movie. See, so you had Keaton, which is not a deep cut, but it's like, who's it marketed for?
Right.
The Eric Stoltz back to the Future thing. It's like when they say that, when they name check Eric Stoltz, I mean, who the hell even knows who Eric Stoltz is other than than us? We haven't been in a movie since 92. So, it's like, well, who got that reference?
Right.
And then they wouldn't explained it, but who got that reference? Right. And then, you get George Reeves Superman.
Oh,
right.
Oh, spoiler alert. Whoa.
Yeah. Spoiler alert at the end where we see the different multiverses.
Sorry. Yeah. Towards the end, you get different multiverses. And so, you see George Reeves Superman, which, how many people know that there was a black and white Superman?
Right.
Right.
Or that he killed himself because he hated Superman.
Well,
that's his problem.
Or, then you get Adam West Batman, which, everybody knows Adam West, I'm sure, the Adam West 60s Batman, right? I wish we'd seen like a Max Fleischer Superman.
Yeah.
No.
I would have taken Max Fleischer Superman over George Reeves Superman.
Oh no! I would have loved to have seen the George Reeves Superman and then the old Batman, the serial Batman with the horns. Like seen them together, like fighting, crying together. That would have been cool.
Oh, that'd have been cool. Yeah, that'd have been cool. Then we see, you see the guy that played Jay Garrick in the Flash TV show is playing Jay Garrick again here, but he wasn't. He wasn't Jay Garrick. He was Zoom.
That was a weird choice.
So it's like that was a weird choice.
Fuck Grant Gustin, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Grant Gustin didn't make it in, which is
10 years of his life for fuck all.
Yeah, he didn't make it into the multiverse thing,
which is weird because Ezra Miller actually made it into his show. So that was
yeah. Then you had Helen Slater and Christopher Reeve, Superman and Supergirl show up.
Very neat.
And people are mad about that, right? People are mad that they're using, dead celebrities for cameos.
But you know what? I was telling Alex this. Isn't that, once you're dead and gone, as an actor, you want to be known, you want to be memorialized. You want to be, immortal. And you're immortalized with this. So I think as an actor, I think they would be happy with it. I don't know why people are getting so upset about it.
And I'm sure they probably reached out to their families.
Yeah, they probably had to get permission for their likenesses and everything.
Yeah, absolutely they did. So who cares? So, it was a nod to them. It was, I'm sure, these guys will live on. Like George Reeves. Who the fuck knows George Reeves? But he lives on in this role,
I wish the Adam West scene he had been running with the bomb.
That would have been great, or the shark.
I feel like that
should have been a little bit longer at least, because you kind of miss it. You blink and you miss that one.
I'll be honest with you. That when George Reeves, when I heard the announcer, the old classic Superman announcer, and then you saw George Reeves, that took me back. That was like
PMR said that
was like my childhood.
That was it right there, man. I was like,
that's my childhood. I didn't know about
in the early '90s. Loved black and white George Reeves
1940s Super.
Did you not? Did you not like? 1940s
But the really deep cut, Brian, is
George
the one
Reeves?
they spent all the time with, right?
Yeah, and that's what I was leading up to. So they spent. It was probably like 90 seconds to like 2 minutes. They did the Nick Cage Superman Lives like fight sequence of him and the spider, right?
Yeah, which was from a Kevin Smith script. That John Peters.
Yeah, right. John Peters. It's not the best quality, but and I've been watching. I haven't finished it yet, but from like 2016, there's a documentary.
Yeah,
and it's called "The Death of Superman Lives." And the guy interviews John Peters and Kevin Smith and Tim Burton, and they get into all of it.
Who's the guy that made that documentary?
I don't know. He is weird as hell.
Yeah, some fanboy that did it.
He passed away. I used to watch him on YouTube. He was really cool.
There you go.
How'd he die?
I think cardiac arrest.
Womp womp.
Was it from nodding?
Ouch. Damn.
When you see this documentary,
Interesting.
He nods constantly.
Yeah.
It's like stop showing yourself in the screen because all he's doing is nodding the whole time.
General nod.
But you can see general nod. You can see it's on YouTube.
Okay.
There's two on there. One is just making fun of him. So it's the first 10 minutes of the documentary, and then it's just weird outtakes of him and like his idiosyncratic like mannerisms for the remainder of like the 120 minutes. And then there's one that has Spanish subtitles. Watch the one with Spanish subtitles. That's the one that's actually the documentary. But the spider was actually called a Thanagarian snare beast because they didn't want to call it a spider. They're like, whatever you do, don't call it a spider. It's got to have 8 legs. It's got to have a mandible, but don't call it a spider. So that's why Kevin Smith called it a Thanagarian snare beast. But you see Nick Cage Superman with the long hair fighting the Thanagarian snare beast from that movie that never got made. Right. So again, like when people are watching this and suddenly Nick Cage is in a Superman costume, I wonder how many people are like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah. They're like, well, it's stunt casting. Like somebody must have owed Nick Cage.
Well, you know what? All those years of wasting our lives reading this shit paid off. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, there you go. Now you knew every reference there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we knew every reference, but the John Q. Public, I'm sure, did not. So, it was just there were some interesting choices made with this film up to the very last sequence, right?
Right.
And so we've well documented. I got to see the Flash movie about 6 weeks ago, right? At a screening, and when I saw it at the screening,
it's different. Yeah,
well, that's what we get into. Everything was the same up to Barry saves his dad. Barry walks out of the courthouse. Barry gives that weird statement to the reporters. Barry walks down the steps. Barry gets a phone call from Bruce Wayne, right? And Bruce Wayne says, I'm pulling up right now. And he gets out of the car. And you see all those people, the paparazzi taking photos and stuff as he's getting out of the car. And then it cuts to Ezra Miller. And Ezra Miller goes, well, who the fuck is this now? Right? Because he doesn't recognize Bruce Wayne. That's where it stops. Hard stop.
Interesting. Okay.
Cut to black. So, and we got no credits. And so no post-credit scene.
Right.
So everything else in the film is exactly like what we saw this weekend. Gotcha. But that's where it stops, right? And so I think they were doing it because they're like trying to get buzz. Oh, they're going to introduce the new Batman in this movie.
Yeah.
Right.
They should have introduced the new Batman in this movie.
Well, and maybe there was a point where they were trying to. Now, there is a story that our friends at TMZ broke.
The Indian Wire broke?
Our colleagues at TMZ broke. That, or the Hollywood Reporter. I'm sorry, the Hollywood Reporter.
THR.
Unless it's IndieWire, I don't listen to it.
It wasn't IndieWire. It's Indian Wire.
Indian Wire.
All right. So before he does an Indian accent,
I'm restraining myself now.
Let me just jump in before somebody does an Indian accent. When Gunn was hired, this is the quote. When Gunn was hired, he completely scrapped the new ending, which featured Gal Gadot, Henry Cavill, Michael Keaton, and Sarah. Is it Callie or
Supergirl?
Supergirl. And instead opted to insert the former Batman actor as the little nod to the canon, George Clooney. So originally, you were going to have two Batman standing there, right? No, I'm sorry. You were going to have Gal Gadot, Superman, Batman, and Supergirl all standing there, right? To welcome Barry home, right? So basically, 3 out of the 4, made it through the universe, and then James Gunn scrapped it and said no, put in George Clooney. So now I think to PMR's point, there was probably a point where they were like, well, if we have a Batman cast by that point, we can throw him in there.
Yeah, maybe.
If we don't, here's just a wink to that storyline or that film, the old canon. But how many people? Well, I mean, how many people like Alex's age know who George Clooney is? When's the last time George Clooney's been in a film that wasn't, some rom-com or some heavy Oscar bait drama, right?
I mean, in the age of streaming, I think most people know who George Clooney is.
Well,
I mean,
George Clooney is Batman.
But how many of them know Clooney as Batman, know the connection of Clooney as Batman, or saw the Clooney Batman film?
Probably nobody.
Right. So, again, just another weird sort of choice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not...
I almost think that's... And again, I'm a big Snyderverse fan and everything. I would rather have had this ending so that, if I would have had, Henry Cavill and those people in there, it'd be like, oh, well, the Snyderverse exists with the Flash and everything still, almost. But now this is like, well, the Snyderverse exists. There's no Flash or anything. And Flash is now in this George Clooney verse. So he's kind of, it's sort of like, to me, that makes the most sense out of all the 3 or 4 endings that I read about it. It's just kind of make it a goofball ending and keep Flash in his own little universe with a goofball George Clooney and everybody else lives separately.
It's really a hard stop. I mean, that's the whole thing is it's a hard stop.
Yeah. Because if you had the new Batman in there, would you kind of say, oh, well, Flash went back in time one more time and he's stuck there now? Yeah, because you don't want Ezra Miller with the new Batman, I'm assuming.
Right.
So you couldn't do that, even if you had the cast.
So now he screwed it up again. He's off on this other universe. But that's the thing, too, is we're not going to get a Flash movie. This is also saying, look, Ezra Miller's done. This Flash is done. The Snyderverse is done. You got your last hurrah. It's done. It's over. Because they're not going to go back and definitely not going to cast Clooney as Batman in a Flash movie.
Right.
This was their way of saying, all right, we gave you, this is the end of the Snyderverse. You won't see any of these people ever again.
Right. Which I think is fair.
And I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay with it. I thought that was a perfect ending to the Snyderverse. It was a nice nail in the coffin. It was done.
What a coffin! That's the most ornate coffin and most expensive coffin ever made.
Yeah, but but you also got a definitive answer on what happened to Michael Keaton. His Batman's dead. So he did. So
but he died taking down a Kryptonian, which is pretty badass.
Yeah.
There you go. It's more or less. I mean, he didn't really kill the Kryptonian, did he?
No, but he won the fight.
He got his ass kicked by a Kryptonian. It's a little less badass, but I get what you're saying.
It's a little less badass.
All right. So the only thing I will say is, I'll give this a 4 out of 5. I thought it was pretty well done for what it is. So 2 things, and hopefully you guys will agree with me on it. I feel good about Brave and the Bold because, again, not that every character in this movie had, a lot of screen time. I mean, Batfleck had no screen time whatsoever or anything like that. But I think he did a pretty honorable job with everybody having just enough to kind of get to know personalities or whatever, because you did have a lot of characters in here. And you didn't fool with backstories or anything. You didn't have to say, oh, yeah, there's a Justice League and it's Batman and Superman and all that kind of stuff. I thought that either the script or the director handled a bunch of different people pretty well. And the one thing that we all complain about is that I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, every fight scene took place in the daytime. Maybe that's why people are complaining about the CGI, because they didn't hide it with the nighttime fights and everything. So it's like, oh yeah, I thought about this afterwards. It's like, the baby falling scene, the Russian scene, the General Zod scenes, all of the big fight scenes were all in during the daytime. And I thought that was a little unusual.
I actually didn't mind I didn't think the CGI was as bad as everybody keeps saying it was. I mean, it was all right. It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that good either.
Black Panther had worse CGI than that. So
I'd say they're on par.
Yeah, I would say so.
I'll tell you Alex mentioned his favorite scene. Would you like to know what my favorite scene was?
What's your favorite scene?
What's that?
In the, it was like I don't know. It was again kind of an oddball choice. I wonder who did it. I think Keaton probably suggested it. But when they're trying to get out of the Russian or Siberian, Stalag, and he's got and they're on the elevator,
right?
And he puts the charge under it. And he breaks out his tape measure,
right.
And he's measuring the distance. And then he asks them how much they all weigh,
right?
So he doesn't just blow them all up. He has to set the charge to the right,
right,
the right setting to launch them, but not kill them all.
Right.
I was like, but he pulled out the bat tape measure. That
was pretty good.
Well, that was a throwback to the Kim Basinger scene where he asked Kim Basinger how much you weigh.
Right.
When
because the grappling hook. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So all right.
I enjoyed that piece.
What do you give this movie, Brian?
I'll give it 4 out of 5.
All right, solid 4 out of 5.
I do have concerns. Somebody said this the other day and we kind of said this. I thought they were going to do this, but they need to just dump Blue Beetle and cancel Aquaman.
Yeah.
They need to cancel Aquaman.
Shut down Aquaman.
Let's talk about that last scene. That end credit scene.
Well,
what
before
the fuck
we do,
was that?
But before we do that, though, all right. The problem with all this is if you wanted that Clooney ending to be this is the end of the Snyderverse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make another Snyderverse film.
Right.
It's so weird. It's like they're
I don't know what that was for.
Boxing it up and locking it and then going, oh wait, we got to pull Aquaman back out because we got another film. You could almost say Blue Beetle is not Snyderverse, right? So I mean, you could just be no universe,
right?
And if he's good,
film.
tie it into the new universe. But the Aquaman film, it's like I don't know why they're making it. I don't know why. It got delayed for such a long time. He doesn't want to play Aquaman anyway. He wants to play Lobo. You've got Supergirl coming up. Put Lobo and Supergirl and cancel the Aquaman movie. It's
I think
so
the
weird.
Aquaman movie's already made, though. It's already been filmed and done.
Oh, it's done. It's in the can. It's done. Because you could get a tax write-off for it if you wanted it.
Yeah,
well, I was
give it the Batgirl treatment.
Did they not say that test audience thought it was terrible? And
yeah.
Even the what was it, Peter Safran said that it's like the worst movie he's like in a long time that he's ever seen. Or I mean, it should not be made. Let's cancel it.
To your point,
to the
Brian,
point, our post-credit scene,
right? Yeah. So the post-credit scene is a drunken Aquaman Question mark? Or is it Arthur Curry? Or is it Aquaman and Flash? And I was a little confused on if it was trying to say that, oh yeah, this is Aquaman, or is this Arthur Curry that Barry just happened to find and is almost like trying to convince him that he's Aquaman type thing?
Well, I thought
he wants to sleep in the puddle.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
And he gives them
the ring.
Atlantean ring.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yes, but it was still a little unclear to me. Maybe I was just being oblivious.
No, it was unclear to me too. It was just a terrible end credit scene. It wasn't funny. Right. It was just bad. I mean,
yeah, very odd.
And like you said, if we're going to put a ultimate stop on Snyderverse, I mean, you shouldn't have had this character at the end. I mean, that was stupid.
Much less a whole other movie.
Right.
Oh,
exactly.
God.
But I guess they probably had to do that, quote unquote, to say, oh, well, Aquaman 2 is still going to come out, and Arthur Curry in this universe is, because maybe the Flash is in Aquaman 2. Who knows? Whatever.
Here's the thing, too, though. Aquaman's coming out in December, I think.
Sometime this year.
So why didn't we get a trailer?
Yeah.
I
just feel sorry for poor Cyborg. He's the one that really got
everywhere. God, don't say that. He'll start whining again about it. Oh, my God. Don't get Ray Fisher started again.
All right. PMR, what do you give this movie?
I actually give it a 4 out of 5. I actually really like the movie. I like the... You know what? We always say you go in low expectations and you're never disappointed. I went in with low expectations and I really enjoyed the movie.
Well, except for Wakanda Forever. Ooh. I went in with low expectations.
And I came out with lower.
Yeah. That movie sucks so bad. It's like a Black Panther movie without Black Panther. I love it. Great.
It's like the what was the Pink Panther? The Search for the Pink Panther.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Where it was all clips of Peter Sellers because it was after he died.
Yeah, that was great. That's how this was. You know what though? I will say this: I would have rather them show me clips than the shit that we saw for Wakanda Forever.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Ouch. And Alex,
I would have taken clips.
Alex, did we convince you to raise it from a 3.5 to a 4?
No. Since we're on the since we're on the Podman scale, I gotta go for a 3.
Wow.
3 out of 5.
Round it down.
Okay. Wow.
Go see it if you wanna, but it's fine if you don't. It's fun. You'll have a good time, and you won't remember it in a week.
I disagree. Now, there's movies I agree that, like Mission Impossible, I can never remember. It's like Chinese food. 30 minutes after I leave a Mission Impossible movie, I forget what it was about. This movie, I still remember what it's about,
Yeah. I thought it was a better superhero flick than I've seen in a while. But I haven't seen Guardians 3 yet, so.
Guardians 3 is really good.
Or Spider-Verse. That's another thing we didn't bring up.
I haven't seen Spider-Verse either.
What a stupid release strategy to release another multiverse movie.
It's just horrible.
3 weeks after one of the most popular social media trends, like box office juggernaut of a movie that's come out all year. The highest opening day of the year. What were they thinking? What was the logic?
Just get it out the door.
You're talking about, it's so stupid, so dumb, but it's fine. Spider-Verse is so good, Brad. You should go see that. It's way better.
I will eventually at some point when it comes on streaming, probably.
Yeah, so good.
It is good. All right, what else? What else we got? Alex, you've been watching some Harrison Ford movies. You're preparing for the new Harrison Ford movie coming out, right? The new Indiana Jones.
I am. So right now I have to hold myself short. Me and my girlfriend she hasn't seen all the Indiana Jones movies, so we're gonna go through all of them in this next week.
Very
nice.
We're
gonna do all 4 of them in the next week. And so Kingdom of the Crystal Skull will temper her expectations before we go see Dial of Destiny.
Go in with low expectations.
Yep. But for the meantime, I just was like, I have never watched another Harrison Ford movie outside of Star Wars and Indiana Jones. So I'm gonna go give it a crack.
Wow.
And so I watched The Fugitive.
Okay.
I've watched Patriot Games. And I'm currently in the middle of watching Air Force One.
Okay.
Yeah.
You need to watch Regarding Henry.
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Or what was the
What Lies Beneath?
No. Witness.
Witness.
Oh,
yeah.
Witness. That's right. Yeah.
Are those good movies? Are all these good
Witness.
movies?
You'll like Witness.
You'll like Regarding Henry.
First off, The Fugitive is so fucking good. Like,
yeah, Fugitive is good.
It's so fucking good. Like, I could rewatch that movie like tonight and have just as good of a time as I did 2 nights ago. It was so good. I loved it.
Tommy Lee Jones made that movie though.
He won an Oscar for it.
Yeah.
And they made a spin-off movie of that movie called U.S. Marshals, which
my favorite
not
line.
very good.
My favorite line. I didn't kill my wife. I don't care.
Yeah, he's like, I don't care. I'm here to arrest you.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's just a really, really like good movie. The fact that like most of it's like dialogue-less for Harrison Ford, and it's just like all the set pieces are like super well thought out. The performances are like great. Like how like lean and tight the script is so good. It's just like a really fun movie, and the twists are great. Like,
Twist.
Well, it wasn't really a twist if you'd seen the TV show.
I hadn't seen the TV show.
Well, when the movie came out in like '92 or whatever, the Fugitive TV show was like in the '70s, late '60s, early '70s.
Yeah, late '60s.
Yeah, so you had, unlike this, where we're in 2023, we're calling back Flash to a movie that came out in 1989. 2023 to 1989 is a bigger gap than 1992 to 1969.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? When you think about it.
But at the same time, like people, it's a twist for you that the one-armed man killed his wife.
What?
But
Spoiler.
What?
That was 4 seasons of the Fugitive TV show or whatever it was. So
Jesus.
First TV show that had a series finale. You know that?
Did not know that. I did not know that.
I also learned that Temple of Doom was the reason PG-13 was invented the other day.
Yes.
There's some debate there, right?
Gremlins.
Yeah.
Well, they came out the same year, so
Right. Gremlins. Yeah, it was. Temple of Doom was the first movie that got a PG-13 rating.
yes.
Gremlins caused it.
Gremlins caused it. Yeah, Gremlins. They were like going to rate it R. Spielberg like petitioned all this kind of stuff, and they got it rolled back to a PG. But it was like it was a one-trick pony. That was his one get out of jail free card. Then by the time Indiana Jones and the
Temple of Doom.
Oh my God, Temple of Doom came out, it was like, no, we've created a new rating. It's PG-13.
Sorry, Steven.
Harrison Ford's got a lot of fun facts under his belt. But yeah, Fugitive's really good. And Patriot Games is really good. That's a really good movie too. Like just super fun, but still it's weird to watch these action movies from the 90s. Like it's a category, like 90s film isn't something I'm like super caught up on. I feel like I'm pretty well versed in popular like 70s and 80s film. Like 90s film I kind of ignored as like the uncle that you don't talk to at Christmas. It's like you go over there. But golly,
What uncle is that?
we don't need to go over that.
The action movies in the 90s was really schlocky. I mean, it was really kind of bad.
Oh,
no, what? But like all these movies I'm watching, like they're great. Like they're just like maybe some of them are B movies, but like there's always a good heart at the center of them. And like
have you seen Demolition Man yet?
No, I haven't watched Demolition Man.
What? Wow. That's a great movie.
Yeah,
it's on my list.
It's fine. No, my favorite 90s. I'm assuming it was 90s bad action movie is Jean-Claude Van Damme and Hard Target.
Hard Target.
I adore that movie. It's so horrible. So horrible.
Where he's got the Louisiana accent and the mullet.
Directed. It was John Woo's first American movie that he directed.
Oh God!
The best 90s action movie by far, and the best guilty pleasure ever is Con Air.
Yeah, I knew.
You gotta watch Con Air.
It's next after Air Force One. I thought, why not just go ahead and keep going with the planes?
Then snakes on the plane, and just go with an airplane theme.
But
Con
yeah,
Air is the best.
Yeah.
but Patriot gave
Well,
us,
and here's the problem, though. You're both wrong.
Uh-oh.
Because the best 90s action film, Eric Roberts' Best of the Best.
Oh,
No, I've never even heard of that.
Oh, you need to watch Best of the Best. It's great.
it's a karate-ish type movie, martial arts movie.
Yep. Team USA gets rid of their personal ghost while fighting Team Korea in a Taekwondo championship. Adversity overcome.
okay, maybe I don't want to do 90s action.
No, you
movies
shouldn't.
anymore.
Best of the Best is fantastic.
But back to Patriot games.
Oh, yes.
It's really great. It's so fun. I loved it. It was so like there's
apparently so.
there's just something like there's like this like old nostalgia. It's like there's this weird like it's like West Wing patriotism that I just like. There's something about it that's so charming and like innocent to me. Like it just is.
I don't know what the hell you're
nice.
talking about, son.
I don't know. It's just like this feeling I get. I get all like warm and fuzzy inside when I watch these movies.
Watching Patriot
What
games.
the fuck, man?
That's called Reaganomics.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
my
love
God.
Reaganomics.
Like man, like it's just like so good. Like it tickles an itch I didn't know I had. You know.
Okay, I don't want to hear
All
about
right,
that.
well, you tickle that itch away.
You need to go check out Family Ties. You'll love Michael Keaton.
He's watched
Michael
all
P.
Family
Keaton. Or
Ties.
Alex P. Keaton.
I've watched
Alex
all of
watched
Family
all of Family
Ties.
Ties.
I've watched every episode of Family Ties.
He was on like Family Ties kick about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yep, I've watched all of Family Ties. But yeah, and then
Con Air. I'm
Air
sorry.
Force-
Con Air is by far the best 90s action movie.
Air Force One's
Ever.
pretty great, guys.
I'll take The Rock over Con Air any day.
What? You're fucking insane.
No, I'm not. Connery? Ed Harris?
No.
What's the Candyman?
Cole Meany?
Cole Meany? Candyman?
He was in Con Air.
Or do you like, what is it?
The guy that played Doogie Howser?
He wasn't in that.
What was
Neil Patrick Harris?
No, what was the other guy? Who was in Con Air?
Well,
Patrick Dempsey?
was
Not
he?
Patrick Dempsey.
No, it was
it was.
John Cusack, right?
John Cusack.
He was the straight guy.
None of these
Okay, so that's definitely not Neil Patrick Harris.
No.
None of these are sounding as good as fucking Jim Gordon with a Russian accent fighting Harrison Ford
All
as
right.
the president of the
Have
United
you-
States.
But have you watched The Rock, Alex?
I have watched The Rock. I do love The Rock.
Okay.
Have you watched The Rock under the lens that Sean Connery's character is actually James Bond?
Yeah, that's what made me want to watch it. I kept hearing that. I was like, I gotta watch this movie, and it makes sense.
Okay,
Makes sense.
watch Con Air.
Yeah,
And
just
tell
watch
me
Con
which
Air.
one you like better.
Guys, I got a lot of Indiana Jones movies to watch.
That's true.
And I'm gonna have a really good time watching them because there's not one of those movies
How-
that's bad, and I don't give a shit.
How do you think they're going to tell us? What do you think their explanation is going to be for Mutt Williams' death? Will they tell us how Mutt died?
Overdose.
Not address it.
Heroin
I hope they do.
overdose.
I don't think they'll address it.
It's
He
been
beat
a
woman.
while.
He's in jail. He sexually abused a woman.
I may
He
have
could have taken
seen.
a bad trip at Woodstock.
I may have seen Lost Ark relatively like in the past 5 years, but I don't think I've seen the other ones anytime recently. So that
Last
would be
Crusade's the best of them. Best of all of them.
You know what, Alex? I used to say the same thing. Last Crusade, but
Raiders.
if you go back, if you go back and watch Raiders, Raiders is just
I don't know,
a
man.
classic. It just seems so authentic. Last Crusade is a good movie, but it doesn't seem as authentic as Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I've watched the Last Crusade 3 times this year. I love that movie.
I do. I love
so
Last
much.
Crusade, but when you look at
Raiders is the
perfect
one,
film,
yeah.
Raiders is
Interesting.
a
Okay.
perfect film.
It's also my favorite film.
Somehow or another, Short Round shows up at every movie premiere that Harrison Ford is at,
don't get me
looking for an
fucking started.
autograph and a photo op.
You got me all
Harrison!
I saw that video.
Harrison, over here!
No, he doesn't. He always sneaks up. He gets a camera crew, and he sneaks up on Harrison Ford. I'm waiting for Harrison Ford to clock him.
I would give real money. When I saw that clip the other day, I was like, "Are you fucking for real? You just did that like 3 months ago." Everybody's sick of your ass to come up there and sneak up on Harrison Ford and go,
yeah, everybody's sick of that shit. Short round.
Jesus Christ,
give
short
it a
round.
fucking
Give it a rest, man.
Stop
coordinate
it.
some stunts or something. Don't
he's got a hug, and you can see Harrison Ford's like so annoyed by it. He's like, "Oh God, this guy."
Don't do Kiki Kwan like that.
I don't even know what his name is. All I know is he's short round and he's fucking annoying.
He's annoying. I'm just calling him annoying from now on.
God damn.
Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
He is milking.
No, he needs to leave Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford's going to get a
restraining order
against his dumbass.
Tell Kalista I said hi.
Hi, I'm back.
How's Kalista?
Fucking short round. Hi, Indy.
I love how he
after he hugs, turn to the reporter when they say, "Mr. Ford," go, "You call him Dr. Jones."
Mr. Ford. Classic.
Alex, so since you're going on this Harrison Ford kick, have you watched Shrinking?
I hate that fucking show.
We couldn't hear you, Alex, from your father's vitriol.
Confessing.
Yeah, he's so good in Shrinking.
Yeah.
He's so good in it. Yeah, he's great.
It's a great show.
Harrison Ford's a national treasure, and anything he's in is fucking amazing. And I don't give a shit.
I just hope he's not in a plane because he tends to crash those.
And live, motherfucker.
Well, when you're stoned out of your mind when you're flying a fucking plane.
Fuck yeah, he is.
Just bounce around.
You wish you were as badass as Harrison Ford.
Oh, God.
That's a legend right there.
That's an tired old man right there.
Fuck yeah, he is.
We're going to see an 80-year-old man in an action movie in like
yeah.
weeks.
That's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, holy shit.
Leave him
like
alone.
Watching Wilford Brimley on the fucking screen. But
Cocoon
Wilford
3.
Brimley was like 20 years younger.
Leave him alone. It's gonna be fucking great. Leave him alone.
So I hope the de-aged Indiana Jones works out well for him. People be bitching about that.
Oh, people gonna be bitching.
Now, Alex, since we're talking Indiana Jones as well, Dial of Destiny's not getting great reviews.
I don't care.
I'm almost more excited for the Bethesda Indiana Jones video game.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. But at the end of the day, I haven't watched an Indian. The only movie I've seen, indie movie I've seen in theaters is Kingdom of Crystal Skull, and as a kid, that was like the coolest shit ever.
Oh my god!
It's like
once a year, Raiders is back in theaters.
I know. I still have never gotten to see it, but it's like watching Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I don't care what anybody says. As a kid, that movie rocked. It still rocks. I have such a heart, like that movie has such a special place in my heart.
I liked it until the monkeys came.
Shut up. Shut up.
We know how influential it was on Alex because Alex went through his fedora phase.
I did. I love Indiana Jones.
Which, by the way, so did his old man back in the 80s as well. PMR's fedora phase was more influenced by Duran Duran than Indiana Jones.
Alex, can you like Duran?
Yeah, he was hungry like the wolf.
Alex, can you please remove your fedora for the Pledge of Allegiance?
God, no. I mean, at least I was 7, man.
Yeah.
Is that 7 years old wearing a fedora?
I was 17, so it's okay.
It's just one of those things, man. Like, I'm so excited that 16 years later, I get to walk into a theater and see an Indiana Jones movie again.
Yeah,
I don't care if
see his old ass on the screen. You're gonna be like, "Oh my god!" I can't express
to you how much I don't give a shit. I have no expectation.
We'll be able to express it in a few weeks, I guess.
I'm gonna be so excited.
I'm just so tired. Tired.
Who cares? That's great.
Indiana Jones is just like sitting on a bench. I'm just tired.
Who cares? It looks so fun. my word to you guys all is it's an Indiana Jones movie. Walk in and go have a good time.
Yeah.
Like, it's Indiana fucking Jones. The last time you're going to get to watch it on the big screen. Like, just fucking
until he dies and they recast him.
Yeah, or they die and they just recast him as a CGI. You know, at one point, the Flash was your favorite comic book character as well. And
that's right.
I would say, 10, 15 years ago, you would have been like, oh my God, they're going to make a Flashpoint movie? My mind is fucking blown.
You know what?
And you gave it a 3.
And you gave it a 3. Jesus. Come on, Alex.
Yeah, way to go, man.
I'd prefer just a Flash movie over a Flashpoint movie.
Oh, okay.
Brad, you need to pull out some clips of this episode to replay it in a month.
I know, brother.
After Dial of Destiny comes out.
Yeah, Alex's Dial of Destiny comes back and haunts him.
It's going to be freaking an
Indian. It's going to be great.
It's going to be an Indian. It may not be great. It may not be great. It may not be great, but it's going to be an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah,
I
like that attitude. I think it's good.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, just go to the movie and enjoy it.
The man with the hat is back,
what the hell
baby.
was that?
The man with the hat is back. It doesn't matter. We're getting Indian.
My God. Do you remember that last movie? It was like his little buddy that kept flip-flopping. It was like, I couldn't even keep up anymore. It was like, can we just stop?
It was Ray Winston.
Oh, my God. That was awful.
What are you talking about?
When his buddy, he was a bad guy, he's a good guy, and he turned into a bad guy, and he was a good guy again, but then he died a bad guy. I don't know. It's fucked up.
What movie are we talking about?
Crystal Skull.
Crystal Skull.
Oh
yeah.
Whatever.
Terrible.
It's
yeah,
it's a great movie.
It was just
Solid wouldn't have pulled that shit.
Solid script.
Actually, I really like Mutt Williams. I thought Shia LaBeouf did a really good job in there, but everybody else gives him shit. So.
Hey, Sol's coming back for Dial of Destiny.
Oh, I know. Yeah. He doesn't look great.
He doesn't look good.
They're all fucking 80, man. Leave them alone.
Just go there and enjoy having Indiana Jones back on the big screen. That's what Alex is saying, right?
Yeah,
I've already got my tickets. I love Indiana Jones. So I'm with Alex on this. I just, I'm hoping it's one last hurrah instead of just one last that happened.
I've always said that they should have done Indiana Jones like they did James Bond and recast the character and kept them in the 30s and the 40s and kept them in that pulp novel.
Or just have one movie and that's it. Either one.
There's only one Indiana Jones.
Well, we'll
see. One.
But on that same note, would you not like? Brad, you remember this from the 70s. Doc Savage. Doc Savage was very cool.
That was at one time.
How would you remember it from the 70s, PMR?
Yeah.
I don't remember it. I was in the 80s.
I remember the made-for-TV
Brad used to tell me about it.
Brad used to tell me about it.
I used to sit you on my lap and tell you stories about Doc Savage. Ron Ely, whatever his name was, portrayed Doc Savage in theatrical.
Yeah, but you remember the book, the
books that came out in the 50s.
But they were cool looking. They had the really cool looking covers and stuff, and it was a cool character. It was a Pulp Fiction, not Pulp Fiction, but it was a pulp
magazine.
Magazine back in the day. I would like to see those type of adventures again.
Well, that was at one point, call it 30 years ago. The Rock was tied to it. The Rock was going to be Doc Savage.
He should have done that. I mean, he really should have. Instead of that fucking Adam bullshit.
But he would have cheesed it up. He would have cheesed it up and done the Rockisms. It wouldn't have been Doc Savage.
Right. Yeah. Completely.
And his only real argument was it's like, he's the man of bronze.
Right.
And the Rock looks like he's bronze.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Rock looks like Doc Savage. I mean, there's no
doubt about that. He may be listening.
Doc?
Yeah, I would like to see a good Doc Savage franchise created. And again, you could break that. I don't know who owns all the rights, but you break that. You add the Phantom and all these other, Shadow and all these other people.
That would be really
Tarzan.
Cool.
Yeah, Tarzan. Yeah. So, I mean, again, it's probably rights are all over the fucking place, but it's kind of that same genre that you would have the great a movie like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen starring Sean Connery. I mean, bring it back home, buddy. There you go.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea, Brad.
Thank you. All right. Episode number 196. PMR credits me with having a good idea.
Well, basically, the Comic Planetary did that.
Yeah.
But they didn't do. Yeah, but they did it with other characters that they made.
It was like what was it? Doc Brass was Doc Savage.
What I'm saying is to do it with the actual character.
Okay,
Tarzan,
I hear you.
Phantom, Doc Savage. That's a great idea I had.
I love it. I love it when your plans come together.
Thank you very much.
All right, so what do we have to look forward to next other than Indiana Jones? Is that about it?
You know what? I watched the season. I just happened to catch it. The season premiere of Strange New Worlds.
Oh.
Star Trek. And didn't realize that in the early Federation before Kirk, it was just all women besides Captain Pike. It's just odd.
It's like
wax. They were like wax back then. The men were on Earth doing like important stuff.
They were doing work.
And so they sent all their women out to space,
is there not like one other guy besides Spock on this show? I mean, it's like everybody's a little. Oh,
wow.
You had Kirk, but you didn't like him.
Well, no, you're right. I didn't like him. He's a weenie on there. So, I don't know. I just give up.
Brad, we have breaking news.
Uh-oh. They're going to make a Doc Savage movie.
I was waiting for the intro music.
Oh, wait. All right, what's our breaking news?
Breaking news, Ron Eaton hates women. That's all I have.
Oh, my God.
No.
All that. You overplayed your hand, Alex.
Yeah.
Overplayed your hand.
You reach for the stars.
Now Brad's never going to play that music.
I know. That's horrible.
I mean, Alex.
Whoever you
cried
are.
wolf too much, man.
Something near and dear to me. Alex, have you watched the new Transformers film?
Yeah.
Alex? Crickets. He's not even responding.
I refuse to respond to it. He is fucking... He does not like Transformers. He hates Transformers as much as PMR hates women.
Did he just hang up?
I don't know.
He's still there. He's ignoring you guys.
No, he's not on the... He's on
Oh, no. Yep.
I see Alex waiting.
Oh, I see Alex left. Now I see Alex join.
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
My phone died.
Okay.
After that terrible joke.
Yeah, my phone's about to die too at the hour and a half mark here.
Yeah. Alex, have you seen the new Transformers film?
I haven't. It's all. I need to go see it and Elemental.
You don't need to see Elemental.
Apparently, it's got good reviews. I want to go see it.
It's gotten terrible reviews.
Oh, has it?
I don't know. Yeah.
I know who's seen it. It's like, it's so good. You should go see it. And I'm like, all right.
Well, Transformers. You know what happens at the end of Transformers, right?
Okay, PMR, just take a break. We're going to get another review of Transformers here.
No. Just a quick, because it kind of leads into my thing. What I was going to mention. So you know what happens at the end of Transformers, Alex, with G.I. Joe, right?
Yeah, I saw the clip online.
Yeah. So
you mean you can see the clip online? You don't even have to see the movie?
Yeah, I just looked it up on Twitter.
Well, then there you go.
Yeah, that's all you need to see.
Dunzo. But so we talked about this last week. They stealth dropped Skybound, which is Robert Kirkman's imprint. Stealth dropped. They had a new book that started this week called Void Rivals. And nobody. It said there was going to be a spoiler. It was the start of a whole new universe, but he didn't say what it was. Retailers ordered 100,000 copies. So it's probably the biggest like launch in, I don't know, 5 years, something like that, for comics. But the big secret was that Transformers are in the universe. So this universe is going to be Void Rival's book, G.I. Joe, and Transformers in a shared universe under Kirkman's Skybound.
Wow.
So this week, after that came out, they announced that they're bringing back Larry Hama's G.I. Joe, starting with issue 301 later this year. So it's the Real American Hero, the book that started in 82, is still going, which is pretty kick-ass.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that.
And Larry Hama's writing it. They're doing a miniseries for Cobra Commander, a miniseries for Duke, and they're doing a new ongoing Transformers book. And then the Cobra Commander and Duke will lead into a modern G.I. Joe book, that'll run concurrent with A Real American Hero, which is the Larry Hama book.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the thing is, it's with the film, hinting at G.I. Joe, or not hinting, they name check G.I. Joe. The question is, what are we getting out of the Hasbro universe? But with Kirkman behind it, you probably can't. There's probably nobody else that you could, with a better like pedigree, to do something like this. So, but yeah, so they stealth dropped the book, or they didn't stealth drop the book. They stealth dropped the fact that Transformers appear in it, and it's the first appearance of that shared universe. And then they came right back afterwards and said, okay, there's 4 more titles that are coming out, one of which is Larry Hama's G.I. Joe. So
I can't believe they were able to stealth drop that, that no one knew about it. That's pretty good, especially in this day and age.
Yeah. So he hinted later on, like he hinted on, like before they went to like the cutoff stuff, like reorder cutoffs, he did make a hint about it. That like this new universe maybe more than meets the eye. And so that was where people kind of so it took it over the finish line because he did that right before the reorder cutoff, I believe. And so that pushed it over 100,000 units ordered. So, yeah, pretty kick-ass.
Damn.
So,
that's pretty cool.
That is pretty fucking dope. Well, should I go see the new Transformers movie?
Yeah.
Brian says it's good, but
it's pretty good. I mean, it's
a Transformers movie.
It's not as good as Bumblebee. It's probably the 3rd best Transformers movie, behind the first one, behind Bumblebee, and then this one. Okay. But it's better than the other 3 that came out.
Any other?
So,
other
I
4.
I actually like Transformers 3.
I did not.
There's a lot of murder in that one.
There's no murder in this one.
I remember I like the scene in Transformers Dark at the Moon where Optimus Prime murders fucking Leonard Nimoy after he's defeated him. He just
Sentinel Prime.
He shoots him in the fucking head, just no.
I like Dark at the Moon. I thought that was really good.
They did. There's so many things that happen in this film that would contradict the original timeline that it's the Bayverse is done.
Thank God.
I mean, if you're paying attention, you realize there's in the last movie they revealed that Cybertron is Earth, right?
Yeah.
Not Cybertron. Unicron is Earth.
Yeah.
Well, in this film, Unicron's attacking Earth. So there's, if you pay attention, it's clear that this is a different timeline, but or a different universe, but not to the point where anybody else, they probably wouldn't piece those things together. So it just looks like Transformers 8, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good. My one gripe. My one gripe is that at the end it wasn't Cobra. When the guy brings him in and offers him the job and everything, it would have been really cool if it was Cobra instead of G.I. Joe. Because then if you did a Cobra movie, you'd get to see the inner workings of Cobra, because we've seen G.I. Joe multiple times at this point. So, but
G.I. Joe.
I still like that Snake Eyes movie from 2 years ago.
You do?
I do.
I don't think I ever saw it. I didn't.
That's a B action movie of our time.
It is a B action movie. The problem is he kept taking his fucking mask off.
That's what the problem with all these movies now. Everybody takes their masks off. It's like, God damn.
Yeah. I like in the shaky cam. Fucking, I was like, oh my God.
It'd be one thing if like he had the mask off, gets mutilated, like he did in the comic books, and then he never takes it off again. Right. But no, he's like, every time he's like, oh, this fucking mask. Let me take this off.
Oh, I can't breathe.
It's like, why even have one if you're going to just take it off all the fucking time?
That movie's pretty fun. If you haven't
the best part of that movie, though, is Storm Shadow.
Oh, absolutely. The script of that movie's pretty good, too. Like, that movie's, like, really just a good time. Like, just a really, really good time, in my opinion. I really had I remember seeing that in IMAX by myself on a Friday night.
I got my Larry Hama sketch at Joe Fest.
Oh, that's cool.
Telling rap.
G.I. Joe.
I'm a huge G.I. Joe fan, so if the listeners don't already know.
I know who Snake Eyes is.
But do you know who Shipwreck is?
I know Duke, because Channing Tatum played him.
Duke.
And died.
And died.
And died. The Rock was in those movies, too. I remember that.
Was he?
Yeah, he was Roadblock.
Perfect.
He was? Was he in both of them?
And Bruce Willis is in that movie, too.
He plays the original G.I. Joe, Joe Colton.
Yeah.
He's got a kung fu grip.
It's a deep history there.
When he shakes Cobra Commander's hand, he just crushes it.
The first one was pretty okay. The second one was really just bad. Just really bad.
They're both terrible, but I loved that first G.I. Joe movie as a kid.
I liked the first one. Yeah, I liked it too. You got into G.I. Joe there for a while, Alex.
I did. I had a lot of toys. I remember.
Yeah. You went through a G.I. Joe phase when that movie came out.
Snake Eyes.
So have I.
Snake Eyes was so badass, man.
And then the second movie came out, and we were just like, oh, okay. Alex was like 10, and he knew it was a bad movie.
I'll never forget the first movie I watched that I knew was a bad movie was Green Lantern. I remember walking out of that as a kid being like, God, that sucked. Like,
I stand by. Have any of you bothered watching the extended cut of Green Lantern?
Yeah. I couldn't get through the first cut.
It's 20 minutes longer.
Ooh.
However,
you're not selling it.
Well, it's 20 minutes longer, but the 20 minutes that's there explains all the weird shit that they don't bother explaining in the actual movie.
God, I hated that movie.
Specifically, a lot of the Hector Hammond stuff.
Oh, God.
So,
I thought what's his face? Bill Skarsgård? Was that
not Bill?
Anyway,
shit.
I thought he did a pretty good job, and Mark Strong as Sinestro was fantastic. It's just Ryan Reynolds and Taika Waititi kind of ruined it. Was the problem with those?
Yeah.
Well, Taika Waititi is kind of fallen flat.
Or he reached for the stars at Thor 4, and everybody hates him now.
Oh, well, and I guess in news, Chris Hemsworth has finally started talking about Thor 5. And he's not, saying he won't do it, but he's basically saying that they got to come up with something original. It's got to pivot, or else, because I think everyone knows Thor Ragnarok, not Ragnarok.
Whatever.
What was the last one?
Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder was a shit show.
Yeah.
So.
Besides that one black and white action sequence.
You know what they could do? They could just have him wake up and think, "Oh, that was a bad dream."
That's PMR's idea for everything.
Yeah, just a bad dream.
Just correct.
Alex, did you listen to the last episode? I'm sure you didn't.
Nope, not. I didn't even know you guys filmed an episode.
Did anybody?
Well, sure.
No one knew.
I've got a pitch for how to end Fast X.
Oh God!
Just listen to the last hour of the last episode.
I've got a pitch on how to end Fast X.
Please don't. No more Fast X talk, please.
Now we're just rerunning the last episode.
No, I'm just telling Alex to go listen to it.
Just
Alex and any listeners that didn't catch it yet, go listen to my Fast X pitch. It's excellent.
It's excellent, and I'll highlight it now.
Wait a minute. Alex, don't you fucking say it. What is it?
And Diesel wakes up from like a coma and just like, holy fuck. From like the first movie, he's like, what the fuck happened?
Yep.
We didn't get the VHS, is dumb. We didn't get them.
Yeah, and so essentially,
I think PMR stole that idea from you, Brian, and said,
I know,
hey,
PMR
Alex, you know
stole
what
the
would be a
idea.
great idea?
That's a great idea.
Is that the idea?
That's the idea. So something happens at the end of the film, and Dom wakes up in a hospital bed.
Okay, let's give a disclaimer for all the listeners who listen to the last
You can turn it off now. You can save it for the podcast now.
This is solely for an audience of Alex.
Can I leave?
That's all it is anyway.
Something happens to Dom. You think he's dead. He wakes up in a hospital bed, but it's like it's first person perspective. And Letty's there, right? And she's like, relax, take it easy. You're probably groggy. Don't overdo it. Whatever, right? And like she's talking to him, and then he like looks over and he sees like Roman in the hallway outside his room, and then he starts piecing it together, and then Tej comes in, but Tej is wearing like a lab coat, and Tej has got like his chart, and Tej is going over like his brain scans, right? And you realize what Tej is a doctor, and Letty's his nurse, and Roman's like the janitor. Like,
why is Roman the janitor? What do you got against Roman being the janitor? The black guy's got to be the janitor?
What do you think Roman would be qualified for in a hospital other than...
Why you say that?
He's an orderly. Is that better?
That's better.
But yeah, you realize that Dom, the first time he hit the nitrous oxide switch in the very first movie, he careened into a wall and he's been in a coma for 20 years. And so then, but up to this point, you still haven't seen Dom. Maybe you've seen his head, right? Just his head. But then they pan out and you see Dom and he's all just emaciated and rail thin, like laying in the bed. That's how you end Fast and the Furious.
I wish they would end it like that.
It explains why he went from boosting DVD players to an international spy. It was all his coma dream.
It would be better than the way they're probably going to end it, which is probably around a dinner plate with a big bowl of spaghetti.
Yep, family.
You mean a pistachio?
Pistachio.
Pistachio.
Oh, Toretta, you did a great job. I love it how you make the clock fly.
Pass me the pistachio.
You jump over everything. Just like a Mario. All right. Well,
I think this episode's probably named, Pass the Pistachios.
Yes, Pass the Pistachios.
All right.
Well, Alex, I think you need to find a perfect way to end the podcast here.
You need to watch Con Air, son.
And watch Con Air. But until next time, Alex.
I'll stay for the podcast.
Goddamn, Brad wants to get out of here.